three unpopular digital trends that are undeniably true, even if you don't want them to be. Now, my hope with this is not to make any enemies. I do hope to make a few friends, but what I promise to do is just share with you the truth of what we're seeing out there in the market, what we're experiencing in our own businesses, what we're experiencing with the people that we work with. So I'm just here to share, what we're seeing right now in digital. I'm going to define and clarify what I mean by digital when we get into it. But kind of first things first, Ken was so kind to give me a gracious introduction, so I won't linger here very long. What I simply want you to know is, about me, and less so that I don't think anybody actually cares who I am, but there's a lot of people out there who talk about marketing, and the only thing they've ever done is talk about marketing. When I share with you what we're seeing, just know that it comes from owning personally right now over a dozen companies within our own portfolio group. So I'm an entrepreneur first who markets. Started my first company in 1999 and never really stopped. And so everything that I share with you, it's based on kind of in the trenches stuff, not theory, not stuff that sounds like it should work, but based on what we're doing by putting our own money at play. And we've owned businesses in our portfolio, everything from digital publishing and digital media, so digital first properties, but also brick and mortar retail. We had an industrial water filter manufacturing company. So when I share this stuff with you, just know it comes from a broad, kind of wide array of experiences. Now, when it comes to digitalmarketer.com, we are not an agency. We do training and certification. So we take all the things that we've learned across all of our different businesses. We originally launched this brand so that we could train the marketers within our own companies. So again, just giving you some context for everything that I'm going to share with you. So I'm talking to you right now as a marketer, but I'm also talking to you as an entrepreneur and as a business person. So again, with that out of the way, let's jump right into unpopular trend number one, which is that everyone is sick and tired of brands talking about COVID. I still see commercials that start with, "In these unprecedented times." Look, if your brand is running stuff like that, if you're sending emails like that, please stop. Okay, please stop. I can promise you there's not a person alive, man, woman, or child, who wants to be reminded that these are unprecedented times or challenging times. Nobody wants this. And we actually did a test at Digital Marketer, a subject line test. And one of them that we ran was how to market in a post-COVID world. And we thought, okay, this is something that people are going to want to know. It's timely, it's relevant, right? What does it look like to market in a post-COVID world? That actually got an open rate of 17%, a 17% open rate. Compare that to, and again, this was an A/B test, the exact same email, two different subject line split tests going out to the same list on an A/B basis. The other one was just new rules of marketing. A subject line that I would argue is a little bit generic, a little bit played out, the kind of thing that we send all the time. That got a 36% open rate. Now, this is one example from one email in one brand, but it is indicative of what we're seeing across the board. And that kind of, 25 to, 30+% open rate, that's what we would typically see. So we are finding that merely mentioning COVID, merely talking about COVID in our marketing, leading with it, is actually leading to a suppression. Everybody has moved from the, I'm stressed, into like just plain denial. I don't want to hear about it. I don't want to hear about any of this stuff anymore. So with that said, let's talk about COVID. After saying that nobody wants to talk about this, there are some things I do think that you need to know with respect to what does it mean to market kind of in this new normal. And the first thing that you need to understand is there is no going back. This is the rate of e-commerce penetration in the U.S. And if you look, a lot of people believe that e-commerce sales represent the majority of retail spend. They see how much Amazon has grown, and they think, gosh, I bet 80% of all sales happen online now. And that's actually not true. If you look prior to 2019, it had just passed 15%. Okay, going into this year, it was kind of like an average 13%. Now, what's interesting about that is, according to Spencer Spinell, who was the director of emerging platforms and technologies at Google, he was saying that, 13% are occurring online, but 96% of transactions are starting online. That was prior to this year. So a lot of times when we talk about what does it mean to be digital, a lot of companies think, I'm not digital because I sell face-to-face, or people come into a store, we're a service provider. Don't confuse the way that you deliver your product or your service with the means of marketing. Don't confuse the delivery mechanism with the way that you generate attention, awareness, and engagement. Because right now, today, customers are expecting a digital-first experience, and the truth is they already have. Another quick stat I'll throw out to you, 57%. According to Gartner, B2B enterprise buyers are 57% of the way through the buying process before they ever engage with a human. The same we found to be true, frankly, with consumers buying high-ticket items like houses and cars, right? They're going to do at least 57% of the pre-work out there doing their own research. And where does that take place? That takes place online. So all business is digital. All marketing is digital today, right? I truly believe the name of my company, Digital Marketer, it's going to be passé really quickly, because the idea of digital marketing, it'll be redundant. All marketing will be digital. But what has changed with COVID is the point of purchase now has to be online, right? And you're seeing this even with pizza companies, right? Let's go online and the orders take place online, and it's, we'll bring it out to your car, we'll leave it at the door, and then we'll scram, we'll get the heck out of there, right? So more and more customers are expecting this digital-first experience. I'm going to talk about what we do about that. Just one other kind of quick, round of stats as we jump in. A lot of people think that advertising spend has plummeted during this. It has, but it hasn't in digital, okay? Digital ad spend is actually still expected to grow about 1%, 1% to 2% this year. Now, that is much less growth than what was previously anticipated. But the reality is that in 2019 was the first year that digital actually outpaced traditional spend. So digital advertising actually outpaced traditional radio, TV. That happened for the first time in 2019. Again, even in a COVID environment, I'll go back a slide, even in a COVID environment where we almost can't buy face-to-face, it still only represents 30 to 35% of sales. So digital, a lot of people think that this is late. It's not. It is so early. We are so early in this game. But you've got to figure out, what does it mean to market in this new normal that COVID just really accelerated the rise to a digital-first experience. The other thing really quickly about COVID, it's changing purchase habits. So in a traditional kind of normal cycle, we would see purchase habits, meaning the lower the price point, the lower the average order value, the higher the number of transactions. So if you sell something that's less expensive, more people will buy it. If you sell something that's more expensive, less people will buy it. This sort of normal curve that you see represented there in the blue line, that's what we typically see in just normal times. The red line, what you're seeing here, is actually what we're seeing reflected in the times we're in right now, or we call crisis buying times. We saw this actually back in 2008, 2009. And the way that it works and the way that it changes is called graze and hoard. So what we find is with consumers, and the same is true in B2B, the same is true in enterprise, what they want to do is they want to do a lot of grazing on the front end. So what this could look like for consumers is they're going to make a lot of little purchases. They're going to buy a lot of little things, or they're going to do a ton of research. They're going to invest a lot of time in a whole lot of kind of low cost or low commitment. That's the grazing. Then once they find the thing that they want, they're going to go all in. And there's basically going to be no money in the middle, okay? So if you're kind of hanging out in the middle from a price point perspective, from a total value perspective, if you're only doing 50% of, and somebody else is willing to do 100%, what's happening today is consumers want to make a lot of little bets, and then once they find it, they go all in. Okay, so it's hedge and then go all in. It's graze and then it's hoard. We find the thing we want, we go all in because we don't have a choice, right? We got to make a decision. We got to make it now. We don't have time because everything's gone crazy. If you don't believe it, just look at the way that people were buying toilet paper, all right? So what does this mean as a practical matter? It means you need to show up in the beginning. You need to offer chances for people to engage with you in a low cost or low commitment manner. So don't force people to do massive long phone calls or hop on a, Zoom or a WebEx for an extended period of time if you don't already have the relationship, right? You already have the relationship with FICO. That's why you're here. But early on, little bitty things, right? So maybe it's producing a ton of little videos that they can watch on their own time, but then give them an opportunity to engage. And when you engage with them, make your best offer first. Don't march them up. Make your best offer first because they're going to want to go all in. All right, so what does it mean to take action on this? Stop talking about COVID and respond to it, okay? Yes, these times are unprecedented. You don't have to say it. What you do have to do is acknowledge that it is here. What this looks like is kind of your action item. Think about the entirety of your customer journey. From the time when somebody first hears about you until they begin to engage, what's that initial interaction? What's their research time like? What does it look like during the sales process and the delivery, that post-sale? Map out. And I would actually do this on a whiteboard. I would get Post-it notes and I would write down what are the different stages. Do this with your team and put it in a sequence and then go through each one of them and say, how can we digitize this? This step right here that we currently do that is kind of a one-off, that we currently do face-to-face, terrestrial, analog. How do we digitize this? Going digital is not about completely transforming what you sell or how you sell it necessarily. It's about looking at each stage in your customer journey and saying, how do we reduce the friction here by making it digital? Okay, so think about the entirety of your customer journey. Think about how do we digitize each stage. You don't have to change your process. Your process does not have to change, but the means of how you deliver that process, right? Pizza companies, they're still making pizza the same way. They're still getting delivered in much the same way, but they mapped out the entire process, doing it through apps. Deliveries are taking place, dropping it on the door, then leaving. What does it look like for you? Map out the journey, get out the Post-it note, stick them, move them around. How do we digitize? And specifically think, how do we get it to be digital first? Customers are expecting a digital first experience. Let me engage with you, let me learn about you, but let me do it without having to talk to you, all right? That's where it was headed, and what we've seen with COVID is it simply accelerated it, all right? So that's your action item for this one. Map out the customer journey, look at each stage at a time and say, can we digitize it? If so, how do we digitize it? Don't change the process, change the digitization, if that's even a word. All right, unpopular trend number 2. Social media is dead, and you probably don't need to mess with it. I actually don't know if this trend is unpopular or not. You may look at this and be thinking like, yes, thank you, somebody finally said it. There's not a lot of digital marketers out there saying this. I am, and the reason is because I get the reason that people actually use social, right? I think a lot of people don't quite understand why do people actually use social media, whether it's Facebook or Instagram or Twitter, even LinkedIn, definitely, TikTok and Snapchat and all of these other things, right? Why do people use social? Well, thankfully, Global WebEx did this study, right? And these are all the different reasons that people said that they use social, whether it's staying in touch with their friends, that makes sense. I love this one, to share my opinion, because that's what the world needs, right? I think the people who are the most honest was this group right here. To fill up spare time, right? To find funny or engaging content, right? These are the reasons that people are saying that they are using social media. In other words, the real goal of social media, and you need to understand this, is to waste time. People are using social today to waste time. It's why you look at anybody who's standing in a line somewhere, they've all got their phones out, they're playing on social media. To put it another way, social media is entertainment, okay? Social is entertainment. It is the new TV, it is the new radio, it is the new movies. This is how we are being entertained today. We used to read comic books, we used to just turn on the television. Prior to that, we would stand around the fire and watch it flicker, right? Human beings have always just been obsessed with flickering lights and stories. You give me a flickering light to look at and you tell me a story, you got my attention. I am entertained. Today, that's what social media is. Now, here's the harsh reality for most brands who try to do social media. You just aren't that entertaining. Now, this may sound a little bit harsh. Again, I said, I hope I can make some friends. I don't want to make some enemies. But the reality is that compared to everything else going on right now, most brands are not that entertaining. And the truth is you probably don't want to be. What does it mean to be entertaining today, right? What do we find entertaining on social media? We like unrestrained toddler-like emotions, right? People crying and throwing tantrums and freaking out. We love to watch it when somebody is a villain and they pick fights or they create villains, right? We like when people play into obvious stereotypes. Ooh, that's healthy. And we like when people do really, really, really dumb things. You remember a few years ago, the Tide Pod Challenge, when kids were like eating laundry detergent pods? That's the type of stuff that you're competing with on social media. If you want more ideas where I got these, it was from this post right here. 8 things that always happen on reality TV. Okay, social media is reality TV. When you have that realization, what you realize is that the harsh reality is that if you want to be seen in social, you must be willing to pay. If you want to be seen in social, you must be willing to pay. Now, I believe that in general, brands can pay with their dignity, or they can decide that, you know what, we're not the show, we're the advertiser. Okay, I'm not the show. We are the advertiser. That is what we are. We are the advertiser. So what is your action item here? Start producing content that is social worthy. For most brands, answering questions. Okay, produce video content that answers questions. Write posts in Facebook and on LinkedIn that address the questions that your audience is asking. Don't try to be funny and clever and cute. You're never going to compete with an adorable cat video. You just won't. But if you answer the questions that people are asking and you pay to have those posts amplified. So you go in and you actually go into Facebook and you say, I want to boost this post. I'm going to do a sponsored post in Instagram. I'm going to do a sponsored post in LinkedIn. I'm not going to run an ad in these things. I'm going to produce social worthy content and I'm going to pay to have it amplified. That's what it looks like to advertise today. So if you were one of those brands that said, you know, we're done with Facebook, there's too much controversy, get back on Facebook. Start advertising on Facebook again. You realize Facebook and Google control over 80% of all digital ad spend and inventory. You can't not be on those channels. You've got to be on those channels. How do you do it right? Answer the questions that your audience is asking in the feed. So if you want to do it on YouTube, do it as a video. You can record a quick video. Get out your phone. Get out your phone, record a quick video. It doesn't have to be professionally done. It's better if it isn't. But come up with a list of the top 10 questions that your ideal prospects, that your ideal customers are asking, the ones that you're sick and tired of answering. Record a quick video. Come up with 10 of them, record quick 10 videos in one day, do 1 post a week, and then pay to have it amplified. That is what it looks like to be the advertiser. That's what it looks like to do social right today as a brand marketer. All right, to close this thing off, let's talk trends. Everybody wants to know, Ryan, what's the next big thing in marketing for 2020 as we go into 2021? What's the next big thing? Well, unpopular trend number 3, the next big thing in marketing is not machine learning. It's not artificial intelligence. It's not voice search. It's definitely not TikTok. I'll tell you what the next big thing in marketing is, but first, I want to kind of pull back a little bit and have you take a look at your phone. All right, don't start texting, kind of stay with me here. But I want you to ask, like, what are the apps that you use every single day? More than likely, if you're a normal human, you use some type of social app, right? Whether it's Instagram or Facebook or Twitter or LinkedIn, right? Again, for most of us, our phones are not phones. You know, our phones are televisions, right? Our phones are that entertainment device. And again, this is the source of entertainment. You probably also chat, right? You do messages, right? And I think that's important. Most people today don't want to talk on the phone. So this is just another kind of aside. You need to have some type of SMS marketing strategy. And when you are talking to your prospects, if you're not reaching out to them via text, if you're trying to call them, you're missing out on many conversations that you could have. Okay? So start saying, hey, is it okay if I just text you? When I travel now, which I don't really do anymore for obvious reasons, but my wife and I now, we don't talk on the phone, we text, and it's great. My children, they would never think of talking to somebody on the phone, right? You text. So make sure that when you're communicating with your prospects that you text, because whether it's text or WhatsApp in a lot of countries or in some groups, it might be Facebook Messenger, but texting and Messenger is most people's preferred means of synchronous communication. So if we're going to have this synchronous thing, we're going to talk at the same time, it's texting, it's messaging, it's SMS, It is not the phone. Okay, so I bet these are the apps that you're using every day. You also probably listen to podcasts. You might have a podcast app, but there's one more app that most people use every single day that you probably wouldn't think about. And to me, I bet it's the first app that you open every morning, and that is your email app. The email app that is on your phone, I bet is the #1 app that you use and that your customers use every single day. And that's why I'm here to tell you the next big thing in marketing is, wait for it, email. All right. Now, I don't know if I just blew your mind right there, but email truly is the next big thing in marketing. Email is experiencing a renaissance and a resurgence, the likes of which we have never seen. So why is that? #1, it's not dead. Slack didn't kill it. Social didn't kill it. The millennials were supposed to kill it. They all went and got jobs, and then they got email addresses, and they started using it like the rest of us, right? It's not dead. It also is perfect for mobile, right? Email on a mobile device looks great. And the beautiful thing about email is when you get to the bottom of the email, you're done. You're at the bottom of the email. It's great. It has a margin unlike everything else. It's less distracting. It's actually more engaging, and it's more intimate than social. It isn't quite as public. When you get an email from somebody, you're reading it. There's nothing else around it. There's no ads all around it. It's not like they scroll and get past your post and there's another one waiting for them right below. It's just this kind of beautiful, closed little area. It's push, not pull. They don't have to download a new app. Everybody already knows, how to use it. The dang thing just works, okay? So what I want to tell you, if you're wondering, how do we get better at digital marketing in 2020 and 2021? Focus on email. If there's one channel that you should double down on the remainder of 2020 and going into 2021, email. Everybody asks me, what should my TikTok strategy be? Your TikTok strategy is email. Don't worry about TikTok, okay? In terms of content marketing, produce 10 pieces of content that answers questions, post it in social, pay to amplify it. Congratulations, you have content and a social strategy. The only other thing you really need to worry about is email, okay? Email. As long as you have an effective email marketing strategy, I believe that you are going to be at the top of the field in terms of digital marketing, while all your competitors and all the other brands are wondering, what should our Snapchat strategy be? What should our TikTok strategy be? Email. Email, email, email. Email is where you need to focus. So to kind of close up, action items, remember the old reality is not coming back. Start adapting to the new. Map out your customer journey. Each stage, I love Post-it notes. Ask at the stage level, which ones can we digitize and how do we do that? The more digital you can get on the front end, the more engagement that you're going to get, the more you're going to benefit from the grays and horde that I talked about before. Action item number 2, get back into social, but be willing to pay for it. Stop trying to go viral or produce something organic. It just doesn't happen, and when it does, it's an accident. Even the people who used to do it on purpose, it was an accident. Believe that, no, okay? Post the type of stuff, answer questions, but pay to have it amplified. You need to be advertising in the social channels. You need to be advertising in Facebook, in Instagram, in YouTube, in LinkedIn, okay? I don't care if it's uncool. I don't care if some of the people say, oh, but I don't like what they're doing. You got to be there, all right? And then get an email strategy ASAP. Double down on email. Make sure that you know what your average email open rate is. Make sure that you're putting great content back in the inbox so people actually want to receive emails. Remember those 10 pieces of content that I told you to produce? Once you produce them, type it out in an email. Don't just send emails that ask people to click. Send emails that ask people to reply. Send emails that have content right there in the email. If you do that, again, you're going to be the best out there in your field. With that said, I hope that you found this valuable. I hope I gave you some tactical, practical action items. And if you liked it, let me know. If you didn't, I guess you can let me know that too. That's cool. That's where you can reach me if you got any follow-up questions. Also, my email address is ryan@digitalmarketer.com. If you got any follow-up questions, I know this is quick. I would love to hear from you. So that's where I am on Facebook, Instagram, not Instagram. That's where I'm on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter. And again, also feel free to hit me up, ryan@digitalmarketer.com.